Alrighty. Well, hello, boys and girls. How is everybody doing today? As you can see, the Old West, I got out the Old West, Sid returned my hat, and now I'm in the glorious living room, even though I can't figure out what drink I had because things on me is disappearing left and right. But but this is my living room, my old wooden house. This is what happens when you solve cases, kids. Things can pay off. Go a little Chuck Norris. How's everybody doing today on this wonderful Sunday? If you're on the East Coast or certain areas, you'll know that the season is getting ready to start changing. It's going to be chilly. I don't mean chili food chilly. It's going to be chilly, and you got to warm up a bit. So maybe you can find yourself a snuggleable purple dinosaur or a dog with a creative imagination. Snuggle up and get ready. Well, I got a special guest on today, and I'm thrilled to have him on. And in 1 second, I will bring him about after this throwback commercial.
This sink was cleaned by Albert's mother. She got all the tough, greasy stains she could see, and lots more she couldn't see, because they were way below the surface in teeny tiny cracks. Albert's mom used Comet with bleach-boosted chlorinol, which, unlike her old cleanser, penetrates tough grease better and bleaches way down deep. Next time, consider Comet, considering what happens in sinks. For dirt you see and dirt you don't. Comet for the deeper clean.
Here I am. This week, I got a good friend of mine's on. His name is Michael Hayes. Michael worked on Barney and Friends during the Sandy Duncan era in the 1988 years when he did the first three videos. Backyard Show, Three Wishes, and A Day at the Beach. It was a classic time, and I had the privilege of speaking with him when I did the Barn documentary as well. And I am thrilled to have him on today. I'm looking forward to this. Hey, Mike.
Hey, man, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Welcome aboard the Old West.
This is very cool.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I know we spoke, but for fans who don't know, to take it back a bit, when did you have an interest in getting into film production?
Oh, gosh. Well, first, I started sound production in 1969, and one of the apprentices, or I apprenticed under an engineer named Jim Lockhart, and had done a ton of movies. He was a sound engineer he did Beach Boys and all kinds of other groups. And he told me early on, he said, I know you like doing sound for music, but he said, if you want to make a living, you need to figure out how to do sound for movies, because that's what he did, and that's what he made his most money at. And so he told me, he said, go ahead and go to school and get your degree in radio, TV, film, and go from there. So that's what I did. And so I actually started, I guess, my first TV projects were in the late 70s, 77, 78, around that era. Long time
Man,
ago.
and you look so young. You look like you could run a mile now and not break a sweat.
I don't think so. Maybe drive a mile.
Mm, 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 Um, well, how did joining Barney in '88? How did that come about for you?
I had worked with several of those people there at DLM, Tabor, those the people that put on Barney, on some commercial projects and some other projects. And we hit it off real well, and they had called me and wanted to know if I'd be interested. And, I was sure. I was I was working, it was a day rate to me at the time, because I was just, I was working, I was a contract laborer, basically. And, but I think we did like 3 weeks of that initially. And then they went on hiatus because they were going to go and write more material. And by that time, I'd gotten hired on to another movie, and I went from one movie to the next movie to the next movie. And so, and then it wasn't until much, much, much later on, many years afterwards, that I got the opportunity to work on another Barney series, or an episode or two. But Initially I just it's so funny because I worked on the Barney episodes where they had the scary ultra purple dinosaur before they did the costume changes and all of that, and it was quite an experience. I never thought it would catch on. Boy, howdy!
A lot of people didn't think it was going to catch on. I mean, those first three videos was interesting, and I've heard how they had the I think the costume was made out of foam.
Yes, oh yes, it was horrible. The poor guy inside, I'm sure he was dying. But I don't think that ever changed. I think it was always just hot and miserable inside the costume because
Yeah.
it's not much breathing space in there. I think later on they put a fan in there for the gentleman who was in there. A small portable fan that was inside there, a DC powered fan. Man, that guy worked. That was a job. Gee. and to make it look as effortless as he made it look.
Right.
Any of those guys that were inside the costume. Wow. Glad I was
Now,
on the outside just mixing sound.
now, I don't think I ever asked you this, but did you ever get in the costume?
No, no, no. Never had any desire. I doubt they would have let me, but I never had any desire to do that. I'm, maybe stupid, but I'm not crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're definitely not stupid.
How funny, man.
Well, what was that? What was it like meeting Sandy Duncan?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna ask, what was it like meeting Sandy Duncan?
Oh, she was a pleasure. She was great. She was a total pro. Just an actress. That we worked with, and she was wonderful. In the fact that she was always totally prepared and always brought something way extra to the game.
Now, did you? Well, I know you talked about it before, earlier, and then when we spoke, I was going to ask you. Just looking at the design of those videos, did you have any idea how explosive Barney would become years later?
Never thought it would. I thought they would do the first couple, 3 and 4, maybe. I had no idea that it would become nearly as successful as it had become, and I didn't think that they would continue with the series. I just didn't know because, as I said, I was once we completed our couple of episodes, I was on to something else, and I didn't keep up for much. I think they'd called me a couple of times, and I was working on a 3-month feature-length movie or something. I just couldn't get away. I mean, seriously, that's the way the freelance world. That's the way it is. You go from job to job to job. It's a gig. One gig to the next gig to the next gig. It's much like being a musician and playing in a band, which I did before all of that, and when I was in college. And I would just be going from one gig, and one gig might last one night, and the next gig might be a 3-month gig at a hotel with a big band or something.
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing. It's
Um,
much the way the industry was at the time and still is.
yeah, but plus back then it wasn't like today with the technology and all that.
True. Golly, it's amazing the technological changes. Amazing.
I know you spoke about it a bit when I spoke to you before, but for the fans, could you share a few words about the director, John Grable?
Oh, John was great. I loved working with him. He was a very, very, very nice gentleman. Uh, Never lost his cool. He just was a sweetheart. He passed away some years ago, and it was a tragic loss because he was very, very, very nice. I had worked with him previously just on like a small shoot, and he and the other guys had called me about Barney, and I said, well, I like working with all you guys, sure. And then Bob Driscoll was going to be gaffing. I mean, that guy's not going to paint me into a corner with lights. That's always the thing. If you're a sound guy, and you've got a boom man out there that's booming all the shots, a great director, lighting director is going to make all the difference in the world to how close you can get in with your microphones and shadows and all of that. And
Right.
once I heard that Bob Driscoll was gaffing it, I went, oh, piece of cake, let's go.
Um, Could you be able to share with the fans? I mean, I know you did audio, but like, what was your like day-to-day like responsibilities when you came on?
Oh, basically, I was in charge of recording the sound of what went on stage, the actors, and also I was in charge of taking a feed from our little tent that we built with Bob West, who was the voice of Barney at the time.
Right.
So I was in charge of putting him over the loudspeaker so the kids and the actors could hear it, and also putting him on a track so we'd have that later to work with. They may replace it or they may use it. You know, it was one of those things. It might be a scratch track or it might be a hero track. So I had to treat it as a hero track. Like it, you know, I had to make sure the quality of the sound was really good on it,
Right.
just as we did the quality of sound for the actors and actresses on the set. So I would record that, and then I'd turn that in, you know, send that with the videotape that was on, you know, on location that the cameras did. It's great fun, great experience. It was, you know, to get to work with talent like that, and also the technicians who were on the set. They were superb. I mean, I would come up and would go, how are we going to do this? And they go, no problem, we got that handled. Don't worry about it. We got it. Just do your job. We got it.
Right. Well, I got a fan here who's listening. He's glad you're here. It's nice to hear from someone that I've never heard from that worked with Barney.
Uh-huh. Cool.
Yeah, 'cause it's always great whenever somebody from the backyard gang early years come on and talk about that period.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It was pretty amazing. You know, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
right.
Yeah.
And it's also ironic for me, and you can comment too, but it's ironic for me at least because for Dallas, I thought Barney was California or New York. Dallas was Dallas Cowboys or, J.R. Ewing, Dallas, that show.
Yeah,
So
right.
just to think of Barney being filmed there is really, it's really ironic. And then years later, I look back at the shows, I'm like, okay, the kids did have some kind of a Texan accent. So, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I think, you know, you look back on it and yes, I think that is detectable, the accents and all of that. And then when you hear somebody like Selena Gomez who was on it and people like that, you go, oh my gosh. Of course, that was later on. That was after much, much later on. But,
Right.
you know, I knew some folks that worked with her and she's still friends with them. And it's so funny, you know. Hear some of the experiences that went on during that time, and it's pretty amazing. But I mean, the kids that we had back then, they were remarkable. They had great coaches and great director, you know, and they worked. Man, that was a hard one. Gosh, because they didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody
Right.
knew what was going to happen with that. Everybody just gave it their all, and
Yeah, and it's ironic too because those kids, some of them kept going into the series as well,
yes,
and then like with the young one, Tina, she was only 5 years old then when y'all
yeah,
first started. She was the
gosh,
youngest in the group.
pretty amazing. I don't even know how she remembered lines. I couldn't have.
Right. Well, she pulled it off. She even
Yes.
sung in it.
Oh, yes. They did great. Too much fun.
Um, what was it like meeting Cheryl and Dennis and Kathy, the producers?
Well, s- I was, you know, I was so covered. I was busy doing my job. And, you know, I met them. Yeah. I didn't hang with them because there was no time. You know, go in there and you shoot and you get ready to shoot. And then the kids come on. The kids can only do like maybe close to 8 hours. I don't think they're able even to do that. But so, you know, it turns into a 12-hour day really quickly. You
Right.
know, and you know, after the fact, you just wrap your gear and head home and charge your batteries and get ready for another day's work. You know, so there wasn't really much time for involvement with other people.
Right.
Not for me anyway, because I was a technician. I mean, sure, they all got to hang out. The producers, the director, they all got to hang out a bit together because they had to. That was part of it. They had to, you know, they had to plan the next day and do all of that. All I did was show up and hopefully be ready for the next day when I got the call sheet and the shot sheet and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you never know what to expect. I mean, they'll give you a shot sheet and you never know how they're going to plan the shot totally, and they just have to, you know, you have to just wing it.
Oh my
Which was
gosh, I
fun.
can't
That was great
wait.
fun. Yeah, it was great fun though.
Yeah. I what was I going to say? I was going to say the only person, I don't know if you knew him, but the only person I met and then got to know from that era was Larry Baker.
Larry Baker, which
Yeah,
was
he knew. He was like the assistant director, technical
okay.
director with John, and he
Okay.
worked with Stephen Bates, who did the music.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I totally don't remember. That's I've forgotten so much about that time period. That's a long time ago.
Mm.
My daughter's laughing in the background. She's she knows I don't have much of a memory about stuff like that. That was
Oh my
right when
gosh.
she was born, I guess. And you know, I was going. You know, they offered to give us videotapes for free. Videotapes, you know, VCR. You know what those are?
Oh
And,
yes.
and so they offered to give us videotapes of the completed project, and I'm going like, you know, I don't think my daughter would be interested in that. And I'll tell you, she got older, and I had to go back and buy all that stuff. I'm just going,
Yeah.
I bought every Barney thing I could find because she goes, I can't believe you passed on that, Dad. Well,
I mean, again, like you said, who
who
knew that that was
knows?
going to take off? Because there were other low budget cartoons back in the '80s that was made before, like like I said earlier today, the technology CGI.
Oh
They made
yeah,
a lot of low budget cartoons back in the '80s and early
yes.
'90s. So
Hmm.
who
And
knew
a
what
lot
Barney
of
was
them
going to
didn't
look like?
catch on.
Right.
They did Barney right. You know, the producers, the writers. That's what it was all about. You know, it was all about the product. Wasn't so much how we shot it; it was how it was presented and what was presented. And you know, I remember talking to my wife, and she was going like, oh, "Who's going to let their kid watch that?" And man, as soon as it came out, and my daughter was about 2 to 3 years old, it was like park her in front of the TV and let her watch that, and I can get something done.
Right.
And over and over. I mean, a kid could not get enough Barney, just could not get enough of it, which was great,
Right.
you know, because it wasn't trash TV. You know, it wasn't trash. It was teaching kids something. It was teaching kids, you know, friendliness, how to get along, all of this stuff. Kind of like a lot of the stuff that Mister Rogers did. You know, that's not a bad example to follow.
Right. I think. Let me see.
Shimbaree, Shimbara, Shimbaree, Shimbara. A sailor went to sea to see what he could see. But all that he could see was the bottom of the deep blue sea.
Too cute, but
Mhm.
classically enduring.
Well, it's ironic. I mean, looking at that because that came from I think A Day at the Beach,
Yes.
when they first met Barney in that video. So that scene in particularly, just that technology style of just the stars and them in the sky, and
I
just
know,
it's something.
amazing, amazing, and the technology back then was just so. You think about it, prehistoric, if you think about it, compared to what we've got now,
Right.
and it was expensive to do that. That was not cheap at the time. That was very expensive. And you look at it now, and a 6-year-old could do it on their Mac at home. You know,
Right. I mean, there's some things that I'm still learning a bit, and I know
sure.
computers.
Oh, it's
It's
amazing.
ironic.
It's amazing. But it takes getting to that point that we did to get to this point now where we are technologically so advanced with computers and CGI and all that. It's just amazing. It's
Yeah.
come a long, long way.
And then we got another show that you was a part of.
What's the story, Wishbone? What's this you're dreaming of? Such big imagination on such a little bug. What's the story, Wishbone? Do you think it's worth a look? It kinda seems familiar, like a story from a book. Shake a leg now, Wishbone. Let's wag another tail. Sniffing out adventure with Wishbone on the trail. Come on, Wishbone. What's the story, Wishbone? What's the story, Wishbone? What's the story, Wishbone? What's the story, Wishbone?
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Those were amazing times as well. I couldn't get enough of that.
Wishbone, like Barney and Thomas and other shows, Wishbone was another show that was I thought was before its time. It was a great
Oh, yeah.
show,
Oh, yeah.
and you got this dog who's playing Hunchback, the Prince and the Pauper, where it was two of him, and just it was imaginary
Totally.
compared to today. I interviewed one of my high school teachers who told me now when kids learn, they use their phones. They don't use an actual book like we, including myself,
Yes.
use. So to have a show like Wishbone do that,
Yes. I learned all my classics from watching Wishbone. Yes, that's very.
right.
Yeah, it's too funny. That was a great. That was a great project. It shot 22 minutes from my front door. I didn't have to drive too far, and it was wonderful. The writers, the producers, the actors, the talent on that was amazing. It just was overall an amazing experience, and wish it could have gone on even further.
Yes. I found out it only did maybe 2 or 3 seasons. I'm like, what?
Well, we did 52 episodes.
Okay.
So and then a long format film called Dog Days of the West, which was a lot of fun. That was the only one that was far away from home. That was shot in Santa Fe at a little western village there, where they shoot a lot of westerns, and that was great fun.
Yeah.
But it was just terrific. They built a soundstage for doing all of the interior stuff that was next to none. It was a great soundstage. And then we did then we had a back lot out by where we had shot Barney out in Allen, Texas. And it was great fun. You couldn't have asked for a better project to be on.
Right.
It was like a big, big family. A big family. Well, classically trained actors. That was one of the coolest parts of that was the actors were stage actors, and they were all classically trained actors. So they would do the flashback stuff, like Robin Hood and all that. And man, they just nailed that stuff, and they were so much fun to work with. Such professionals. And the directors, we hopscotched directors. There were several directors that worked on that. All of them just terrific. And so it was a lot of fun. It was just great fun to work on. Yeah. It was hard. Man, we would do 12, 14, 16-hour days, because we'd shoot stuff when we'd shoot the kids out in 8 hours, and then we'd go up and do pickup shots, with all the stuff that either was just a dog or pickup shots that had the other actors that weren't kids, So we'd make a long day out of it, but man, we got a heck of a project out of it. It was a great product.
Well, yeah, it like I said, it was a great show for its time. Now, I will admit, as a kid, not Joe's mom, but the neighbor, Wanda.
Wanda, I'm sorry.
Wanda.
Uh-huh.
I used to get mad at her, not really mad, but like whenever she would fuss at Wishbone, I'm like, hey, he's a dog. Why are you getting mad at him? Right. She would always get mad at him. Anytime he was digging or doing something, I'm like, he's a dog. What are you going to do?
He's a dog. He's going to be in your garden. Leave him alone.
And the other thing I thought was cool, and I talked to shout out to Fred Holmes and Barry if you guys are watching and stuff.
Yes.
I've spoken to them, but I told them it was funny how y'all came up with the title Pepper Peach, that pizza shop. I'm like, who came up with that Pepper Peach?
Oh, it was too much fun, man. I mean, the writers were extraordinary on there. The actors were wonderful. Wanda was one of the most colorful people I've ever met in my life. You know, she just was hilarious. And I saw her here a while back. We did an interview with her, and she hasn't changed a nickel's worth. I mean, she is still just wonderful and hilarious.
Yes, and I've seen her, and I don't know which movie it was, but I know her and the actress that played Joe's mom. I know they've done work before and after Wishbone. And actually, I saw Ellen, Joe's mom. I seen her in Walker. She did an episode of Walker Texas
Yes,
Ranger.
right.
I was like, hey, there's Joe's mom in Walker. Which is another classic favorite show of mine, Walker.
Of course, yeah. Another Dallas fave. That kept a lot of people off the streets, let me tell you.
Yes. You know, and it's amazing, you know, not to go off topic, but I was going to say, Chuck Norris, the one thing about him I thought was great was he did a lot of his own stunts, all them karate stuff. that he did.
Yeah.
I was like, he
Yeah.
didn't he do a lot of stunts. He did his own.
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. And knew him better than anybody. Yeah. I worked a couple of days on second unit stuff with Chuck, you know, and I've worked a couple of shoots with Chuck before. So he was a great guy, great guy. Just nice, friendly, cool guy.
Yeah, he still, even at his age now, he still look good and in shape.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you know. So I've jokingly said if I want to try to find that black hat you always wear, the hat and the boots.
There's magic there.
There you go. Well, what have you been doing since Barney and Wishbone lately?
Well, let's see. I did a bunch of, since Barney and Wishbone, I did a lot of, music documentaries and a couple of movies. And now I'm retired, so I have a little recording studio, so I do a lot of recording music, you know, jazz mainly and stuff, things of that sort. And I was playing in a band for a while, so I enjoy that. Always enjoy doing that. So till my next gig, and I'm unemployed. I'm sitting here at home with my daughter. Love
Oh
it.
my gosh. Well, maybe you're painting. 'Cause I like that painting you got behind you.
Oh, it's a Chinese Xi Qing. You know, it's a seriograph. It's like 200 different overlays. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. They got like almost 200 different patterns
Oh, it's
going
incredible.
on. It's
You see it
really
close
cool.
up. It's amazing. You know, I love art mainly because I'm so artistically inept. I do good to sign my name right. I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that can do that. Like Barry Phillips, you know, the designer can do all that amazing stuff. And art department, all of those art department guys, they just act like it's nothing.
Right.
I can destroy a coloring book, man, I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh. Mike, this is a new question I've asked people since I'm starting this brand new podcast show, and I'm going to ask you. I mean, you've done so much with Barney and Wishbone and other things, but was there ever a time in your career doing what you did were you ever nervous or worried about what you were doing or an assignment you
Every
was asked to
day,
do?
every day. Anytime you show up on location, if you're not nervous about what you're doing, you're in the wrong place. Seriously, you got to be so pumped and ready to, because you know it's not cut and dried. You don't go there and they go and know full ahead of time what what kind of problems are going to come up, and they do. You know, and you have to solve those issues on location right there. You can't waste any time. So from that standpoint, yeah, if you show up and you don't have butterflies in your stomach, you're in the wrong job.
Right. Well,
But
you know,
that's the cool challenge of it, because filmmakers are problem solvers.
right. Well, on the show all the way around, even with Barney, because that was new in 1988. So
Yes.
Cheryl and all of them and you, I mean, I'm sure you guys were nervous putting that together, making certain that was going to work. Because from what I heard, y'all didn't film the episodes in order, and Sandy wasn't around the whole entire time y'all was filming.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because you don't shoot it all in order of the way it's going to be edited. You shoot bits and pieces, and that's where you have a good continuity, good director, good script supervisor, and make sure that everything
Right.
like as it should. But sometimes it doesn't. You got to work around it. You might have to do a reshoot and do a couple of insert shots just to make it, make it all tie together. But that's the beauty of filmmaking. It's truly an art, and I mean, it's truly an art form, and it's also it's a professional job, but it's not cut and dry. There's all kinds of little critters that happen on the shoot, that you got to
Right.
be aware of. But it's fun. I wouldn't have traded my last 50 years for anything. Yeah.
And it's amazing you still look young, talking about 50 years.
I don't know what kind of camera you're looking through, buddy. That's a good filter there. Send me that filter.
Sure, right away. I was gonna say even with Wishbone, I mean, because you're doing the show where on one end you got Joe, David, Sam, Ellen, Wanda, the dog, and their neighborhood, and
Yeah.
then you got the fantasy stuff, and then even like an episode where the Prince and the Pauper, where you had two dogs. I mean, that's a lot of work and costumes,
Oh
and
yeah.
you
Well,
gotta get the dog in control.
I think we had seven different wishbone dogs. That would because you know soccer the hero wishbone dog. There were certain things that he wouldn't do. Like stunts. He didn't do stunts. He'd be in his trailer. So we had another dog that would do stunts. That would just jump anywhere you want to do, jump from here to there, and it was pretty amazing. The animal trainers on that were spot on. I mean, we hardly had to do anything over again because the dog missed his mark. Well, the dog was more professional talent than most of our professional talent was. I mean, that was just magical. Yeah, but the trainers they were just amazing. And we interviewed one here a while back with Brian, one of the trainers for the Wishbone documentary. And he's still just loves working with dogs and animals, and he's just tears it up, man. He's a great guy. But just seeing those guys work on day one, I was going to go, oh, because I had my misgivings on that shoot. I'm going, let's see, we're working with kids and dogs. What can go wrong? Let's put a cat into the equation, We didn't have any cats on that. Thank goodness. We
Right.
had no cats to hurt. But at day one, I mean, I was like, at the end of the day, I went, well, this is going to be all right. It's going to be okay. But, I'm telling you, I had my
Yeah.
misgivings before that.
And well, like you, many fans, I wish it would have, Wishbone would have kept going. 'Cause I felt
Oh,
like
I
it had
know.
good potential that could have, even into the 2000s. 'Cause I know it came on like in 94, 95, in
Yeah,
the
we
mid
were through
90s.
shooting 94, 95, and then 97. And then we were shooting near the end of 97. But yeah, my daughter, I can't talk to anybody that I know that's ever seen it that hasn't said, man, I wish it was still on, because who knows what they would have done. My goodness,
Right.
what classics they would have tackled. But that, I can't imagine the writers. That was an amazing feat to tackle that stuff and to do the juxtaposition that they did, in modern life versus old time stuff. That was just remarkable. Great writers. Yeah.
The only other thing I was going to ask about Wishbone was, I was going to ask you, did you have any memories of meeting the producer, Rick?
Oh, I love Rick. Yeah, Rick's a dear friend of mine. We'd worked together before Wishbone and back in the 80s, 86, 87, on a series called Oak Street Chronicles,
Hmm.
which was kids programming. They just, I I don't know why they didn't continue that, but I got to tell you that it didn't hold a candle to Wishbone because
Right.
Wishbone was phenomenal. Oak Street Chronicles was pretty cool, but that's where I had met Rick Duffield, and I'd also worked with Burt Guthrie on that, the DP from Wishbone, and we just had we hit it off great. Rick's a wonderful, wonderful person, just a wonderful. So I mean, and he. To go out on a limb and do something like Wishbone the way he did was just wow, what a spine. Because you never know. I mean, from day one on that thing, yeah, you certainly want it to continue and want it to happen, but it's a gutsy move to tackle something like that. But he did it.
Well, if Wishbone had continued, the only thing I also want to see along with more stories and adventures was y'all had a good thing going with the kids, Sam, Joe,
Yes.
and David, and their
Yes.
friendship.
Yes.
But then y'all also had Demont, who was kind of the bully bad guy on the show.
Yeah.
And it looked like the character was kind of warming up a little bit in the last season episodes of the show because they went into his background a bit. So I would have loved to have seen where that character would have went to as far as blending with the main three core characters.
Yeah, a spin-off or something like that. Well,
Yeah.
Demont, the kid that played Demont is Rick Duffield's son.
Oh,
Oh, and right now, in real life, right now, he lives right across the street from Burt Guthrie, who was the DP on that. They see each other every day, and Demont is a high school basketball coach.
wow.
Quite successful basketball coach. He does really well. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, you should interview him sometime.
I gotta find him. I know the actress that plays Sam kept going and acting after
Yeah.
Wishbone. I don't know what happened with David or Joe.
Christy?
Yeah.
She's one of my neighbors. She lives in L.A., but her family lives right around the corner from me. I mean, half a mile from me. I see them all the time. They're very, 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 very nice. And she turned into just an amazingly beautiful young lady and very successful. I don't know how much acting she does anymore. I think she does a bit. But she's just a real sweet lady. We saw her here a while back. My daughter keeps up with her. And, yeah. And then there was a little lady that you don't see much. You didn't see much in the series, but she's her name is Brittany, and she played David's young daughter. I think she was about 4 years old.
The sister.
Sister, I'm sorry, a young sister. And I think she was about 4 years old. But she's an excellent singer, and she's got several CDs out now.
Wow.
And she used to do the Star Spangled Banner and everything like that for opening games for the Mavericks and different basketball, baseball. Yeah, she's amazing. She's got quite a career. Beautiful lady and great voice. She knocks it out, man. She was on American Idol one year. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And I think she got ousted because, I mean, she was great on American Idol, but they said, well, what do you do? And she goes, well, I'm a voice coach. And right off the bat, I think they thought she was too professional to be on American Idol, so she didn't make it that long. But,
Man.
yeah, but she's got a great career ahead of her. I mean, she's got, so how many CDs does she have out, Dottie? Two CDs out. Yeah. Great.
Maybe she should have told them that she did Wishbone too. Maybe they would have
Exactly.
came around.
She'd have been a shoe-in to win.
Well, I know we lost soccer a couple of years ago, but I'm sure
yeah.
he would have been proud to see where everybody's journeys have gone.
Oh, yeah. Either that or he would have bit them all. He was
Oh, my
cranky.
God. I've heard that because I would ask people that. Would you want to take soccer home as your personal dog?
Yeah, exactly. No, too high energy. That's the thing about those Jack Russells. Man, you got to have time for those dogs. I know several people, one of our ADs who got one of the Jack Russell Terriers after the series was over, and she said, man, that's the hardest dog I've ever had to keep up with because they're high energy. They're all over the place. They're, no, I want a dog that sleeps a lot.
Right. I had a dog like that.
Yeah.
All she wanted to do was lay down. So if I was laying down or sitting, she just lay down too. So yes, yes. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, fun.
Mike. Looking back at your career over the years, what do you think is your legacy for the career you've had?
Oh, legacy. Did you get in and get out, I guess. To make it last long enough to retire, I guess. I don't know. I've had fun on everything I've done. You know, that's the whole key. Because if, you know, it's like if you pick your job right, it ceases to become a job. You know, I mean, granted, there are a lot of challenges along the way, but if you want to do something that's fun for the rest of your life, or do you want to be stuck someplace where you hate your job?
Right.
I don't think there's one day that I've hated my job. There are several days I've hated getting up early enough to get to location, but I've never hated my job. I've never hated it. So, you know, it's like, and it was, you know, people said, oh, you're going to have a hard time retiring. Well, I didn't. I still love all the people I worked with, but I don't miss getting up at 4:30 so I can be on location at 7. You know, I don't miss those days because I like to go to bed late and wake up late.
Right. And I hate to confess this loud, but I had a job like that once where, you know, doing lawn work where they started at 6 in the morning.
Oh, no.
And I had to get up at 4. And mind you, my mother did night work, so I would be up when she came home. So doing all that, after a while, after that first week, I was like, no,
I can't do this.
Yeah, I had to switch over to a different department. Like, no, that's not going to work.
But that's a good thing too, you know, because I've had ugly, horrible jobs early on in my life that you know, kind of catapulted me into going to school and making sure I didn't have to do that for the rest of my life.
Right.
So it's good to be exposed to something like that early on. Early.
What advice would you give somebody who want to get into audio and film production?
Advice. Oh gosh. Find something that you enjoy doing. Let's say that you really enjoy doing just for the fact of doing it, because you might end up doing it for the rest of your life. And if it's something you don't have the tendency to want to do, then, you know, time passes quick.
Right.
So find something you want to do. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, you know. Because if it's somebody that has a passion for it, no one's going to have to lead them in that direction. They're going to be already doing it. So it's, you know, do what you want to do. You'll find your own level, you know.
Right.
That's like you're doing right now. You're doing what you want to do. You know.
Yes, I do. I've done podcasting since 2019. I've done films for the last short films for the last 10 years. So, and on the side, I'm a delivery driver. That's my full-time job. So, yeah. Yeah, that's the deal. You got to make a living while you're trying to make a living. You know. Right.
And that's what commercial production did for me, because it pays more than movie work. So I did a ton of commercial work, you know, which was great. You show up and do 1 or 2 days, you're through with the commercial, and then you're on to something new, you know. But it pays better than a lot of things. So
right,
you know, that way you could kind of keep your options open a little bit. But I say that, but I didn't pass up anything, man. If my phone rang, I was on it, man.
Right.
But it was fun. It's been a fun career. You know. And it's changed. Gosh, it's changed drastically. You know, people call me all the time going, can you talk to my son about getting into the movie business? I go, do you want me to talk him out of it? You want me to get him into banking or real estate? What do you want me to get him into? Because it's changed so drastically. I can't with a good conscience tell somebody to get into it like I used to could. Because it's tricky, man. It's just iffy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like we talked about earlier, I mean, the technology has changed so much. Even with the releases of videos in the 80s and 90s, and then we went to DVDs, now you can stream. Now people got watches. You can watch TV on your watch now, from what I understand. I'm like,
when was the last time you watched a DVD? You know?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or CDs, you know? I was like, I have this little recording studio, and people are going, well, when am I going to do this after I record it? And I go, well, you know, sell CDs in your bar gig. And they're going, no, nobody plays CDs anymore. I go, well, I don't know that. It's up to you. I don't know. Just I'll download it for free, and, you know, don't make anything off of it. But, you know, it's spooky.
Even with records.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, right now, most of the acts are releasing albums so they can, because that's the best. Because it's hard to download an album. It's hard to rip an album unless you've got a turntable and all of the other stuff. So they're making their money off of selling albums, which we thought was done 50 years ago.
Right.
But
when you gonna put your album out?
I've been on several CDs already. I play on a lot of them. I'm a studio musician, basically.
Right.
So I play on other people's product, and that's a lot of fun. And this band I was playing in, they're in the studio right now working on a CD project, album project, CD project. What do you call it? A download project. I don't know what you call it nowadays. But it's always fun. I just enjoy playing, That's what I'm wanting to do more of now that I'm retired.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
I popped up again twice.
That's right. And I've still got a couple of documentaries that a friend of mine and I are working on, but as you well know, documentaries take time.
Yes, I do.
So I haven't sold all my movie making sound equipment yet. I'm still keeping some of it so I can do some documentary stuff,
Does your daughter ever interested in getting the film business?
Well, she's a DJ. She went to broadcast school for a while, and now she's a DJ. She DJs parties and stuff. She was in one of the Barney books early on. What was it called? Baby Bop Goes to School.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had that
her
book.
in that. You have that pic? You have her?
I used to have that. I had that book. I used to collect all the Barney books.
Yeah, she's in that book. But so she did. She did broadcast school for a year and decided that rather than work at a radio station, which she also did for a while, she wanted to just DJ parties. So she does that. She DJs private parties and parties for people with disabilities and stuff like that. She loves that. And I'm her roadie. I'm her roadie. I go up and set up her sound system and tear it down and do all that stuff.
Well, let me see if I can do this in one take. Yo.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
are on the mic with Michael Hayes. He did Whispering and Barney back in the day. He is here today talking about his career. And luckily, he's here today with no fears.
That was good. My daughter would be proud of you.
And I improvised that whole thing. That was not
good,
planned.
man.
Well, I gotta play our favorite song.
I love you, you love me. We're as happy as can be, with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Hi, kids!
I love you, you love me. We're a happy family, with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too?
Oh, hi, everybody. Hi, kids.
Too funny. Look at Bob West. He was a great guy to work with.
I remember asking him about that because for years I always thought, because Barney's voice was deeper, I thought that was like another actor, like maybe Barry White or somebody, because they have that voice. I knew the PBS voice. I was like, how'd you do that? Well, you down here. Hi, kid.
Oh, so many voices he can do. He taught me one. He was like, "Well, what's all the hubbub, bub?"
Oh my gosh.
He was always doing stuff. He'd have to do this to make his voice sound funny and do all kinds of stuff. And it was like, that's amazing. I never thought anything that even existed, somebody that could do so many voices like that. He was amazing.
What's the first thing that comes to mind looking at that clip, another clip I played earlier with Barney?
It totally brought back memories, though. It really did. And, it's like, I remember that like it's yesterday. I mean, just amazing. And those kids, who knows what they were. They probably all got grandkids by now.
Well, I know the guy that played Michael, Brian Neves DeBlanc, he's a lawyer now.
Okay.
He's a criminal defense lawyer.
Cool.
Tina, she's had different jobs, and Leah, who played Lucy, her sister, who was my crush, she did hairdressing for a number of years, and now she's doing something with kids. I don't know
Cool.
what that is, but yeah, they've all, and the guy that played Adam, the Asian guy, he does something with video games now. So
Yeah, probably makes a fortune doing video game stuff.
So, by West, I say a touch with on projects I work on. I'm friends with David Boss on Facebook, so whenever he posts something, I see it. So it's
That's cool. That's
I
very
told
cool.
I told Boss West it's ironic that Barney where it was, he jumped around, did things, but when David Joyner, the other guy, jumped in and played Barney, he did them jumps in the air, the
Oh, it's
360s.
crazy.
He brought the physical side of Barney.
Oh man, it was amazing, because you're doing that with all of the contraption that was on the inside of that suit. Man, there's a lot going on there. Jeez. Well, I'm glad they were doing it, not me.
Well, the last two questions I was going to ask you, the first one was, again, looking back at your career when you was maybe a teenager in school or a kid, did you have any idea the life you was going to have today with Wishbone and Barney and other things you did?
Well, you back then I couldn't see that far ahead, but when I was a teenager, that's when I got my first job in a recording studio. And so I was into playing and into recording music, and so I knew early on what path I was going to take. I just didn't know how it was going to twist and turn. I at that point in time, of course I wasn't that into making movies or any of that. I was into making albums and making music, but this was just a sidetrack of it, and it was a part that I really truly enjoyed. So. You gotta keep your options open,
Right.
because as you well know, who knows what tomorrow's going to bring, technology wise, what you're going to be interested in, who knows,
Right.
or what's going to present itself. It might be, hey, we all of a sudden we can, fly to Mars, for $50 or whatever.
Right,
You
right.
got to keep your options open. I might want to try that.
You're exactly right. I mean, Wishbone doing the way he did, it took off, and with Barney, I mean, it's like go for a new show. Normally, it's on television. They don't really jump to do a home video release, and you're putting your money on that based upon the amount of video sales you do. And who knew, the way Barney was going to take off for so many years and seasons. So.
Yeah, exactly. I had to go back and buy every Barney tape that came out. My daughter still has them in there. She has all her Barney paraphernalia, all her Wishbone DVDs, all her Wishbone paraphernalia. She's got quite a collection. She's very
Yeah.
proud of it.
What kind of music do you listen to?
All kinds. Basically, since my daughter's a DJ, I have to listen to all her stuff that she plays for music, for dances and stuff. But I'm more interested in jazz and some country stuff, like Brad Paisley. I love him simply because he's a great guitar player. It's not the whole country genre, but you hear somebody like Brad Paisley who plays country, but his guitar playing is incredible from any genre. So that kind of stuff. But like I say, I'm a guitar player mainly. So anything that has good guitar stuff in it, I'm going to listen to it. Old early blues. Go ahead.
Right. Now, I was going to jokingly say, and you plan to do a documentary or a book on your life?
Ah, that's hilarious.
The Mike Haynes story,
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't bet the farm on that one.
Oh my gosh. A fan just reminded me, I forgot to ask you. I think you mentioned you did one production for Barney years later. I was going to ask.
Yeah, we were at the zoo.
Right.
Barney, a day at the zoo or something like that.
Okay, I was going to ask, what was that like going back to Barney after so many years?
It had changed.
later?
I was totally amazed, but I was really amazed in the fact that I saw a bunch of the same people that I'd worked on the early stuff with. They were there, and then just the change in technology from the early times to the time that we did that one with our location sound recording stuff, and it was pretty amazing. But it was fun. But it You know, it was a smaller crew. I mean, we actually had a very small crew to be out in the zoo, you know, roaming around in the zoo when it was, 99 degrees out shooting. And I was going like, that poor guy in the Barney suit. I don't know how he does it, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm not leaving like last time when we spoke 101. Like last time, I'm just going to zoom in on you. Is there a message you want to say to the fans of Barney and Wishbone?
Oh, message. I'm glad you were able to enjoy it. They were both phenomenal pieces to work on, and I think they were really amazing pieces for children to be able to view. Children and adults. I mean, adults that say like, "Oh, Barney, I don't know, it's kind of stupid." Well, you're not supposed to be watching it. Number one, it's for your kid. But Wishbone, you could. That's an adult adventure as well. And the fact that we did that so early on, and the technology was so limited, I just think it's phenomenal the way it turned out. And I just wish there were more pieces and more projects to come down the pike like that.
Yeah,
there may be. Who knows? I hope there are.
Well, I don't know if you were able to say anything or not about it, but I know myself and fans look forward to see this documentary on Wishbone and how that turns out. Because, like I said, it touched, like Barney, it touched many children's lives. I know it didn't go on long, but I would love to see how it started from an idea and the stories. And
Oh yeah.
maybe we'll see how you look back then if you're in it.
I looked kind of like that picture that you were showing earlier of me, but I had a mustache, so it was kind of. If you ever get a chance to interview Rick Duffield, you should do that because he's got some great stories.
I will. Well, I'm on that money train to get some different guests on, and guests I didn't have on my old podcast show. So hopefully I'll get some more people from Wishbone because it was a great show and the memories. And I can't think of her name, but it was an actress, Rebecca or Jadmison, who did the imaginary side of the Wishbone show. But she was gorgeous and hot. It was I think she was a redhead. I can't remember her name, that actress, but she was gorgeous in everything she did on that show.
Well, we had some amazing actors in that. It was great.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I'm glad you was able to come by my podcast today. I know the fans are excited, and they're always happy when a guest from the Sandy Duncan early years come on my show because that was the classic early years, and Wishbone was phenomenal. So
I wish I had more to share about that time period, but it was just like I say, if you were out there on set working, you had your head in it and that was it, and there was very little icing on the cake for you. It was a gig, it was work, and we had to put our big hats on and go for it. But it was great fun. And thank you for including me in this. Really, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Most definitely.
I'm very happy that you're doing this.
No problem. I'm excited about this, and I'll say it now. I know some people know about it. I don't know if matter of fact, I'll wait. I'll tell you backstage when we're not live. So fans don't know about it just yet. But what was I going to say? Did you live near the studio when y'all was doing Barney and Wishbone? Did you live near both studios?
Yes. 20 minutes.
Okay.
Basically 20 minutes from my front door to that front door, which was that's
okay.
amazing. Because when I was in LA for a while, anytime I would go work at another recording studio in LA, it was an hour to 2 hours to get there, and then at the middle of the day I'd have to go work at another recording studio, and it'd be 2 hours to get to there, and in traffic, just so 20 minutes, and then as I say, most of the other movies that I'd work on, it'd be like, okay, your call is 6 a.m. in West Weatherford, which is, an hour and a half drive, and so to sew something up that was going to be 20 minutes from my front door, that's half the battle right there, man.
Right, you got to deal with all that traffic.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't have to get up so early.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, Michael, thank you for coming aboard today. Don't leave yet. I'm going to talk to you for a minute backstage, so I'm going to sign you off, and I'm going to sign the show off, and I'll be back with you.
Thank you, Matt.
No problem. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in today. It was a great blessing having my good friend Michael Wong, who worked on both Barney and Wishbone. Keep using your imagination, kids. That's the best I can get to Barney's voice. Thank you. Join me again in 2 weeks. This week I'm going to enjoy my vacation. I'm on vacation from work, so in two weeks on the weekend I'll have another guest on, and we'll take it from there. So until then, enjoy your day. Stay blessed. Go have fun with a dog or a dinosaur. Shake some tails in the Old West, and stay blessed. God bless you guys. Thank you.